take a trip around the curve. Disney led the Children and Family Creative Arts Emmys, garnering multiple wins for programs like the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and Baymax. The winners of the 50th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards Creative Arts and Lifestyle categories were announced. Journalist Connie Chung was on hand to present her husband, Maury Povich, the Lifetime Achievement Honor, and Chef Jose Andres is among the honorees winning Outstanding Culinary Series. Golden Globe nominations, The Zone of Interest takes top honors from the LA critics. Maestro, Barbie, Oppenheimer are among the list of multiple honorees for the 3rd Annual American Cinematheque Tribute to the Crafts. The Producer Guild Awards revealed their documentary noms, including CCA winner American Simone Barbra Streisand is set to receive the 2024 SAG Lifetime Achievement Award. Anthony Anderson is set to host the Emmy Awards on Fox. IDA Doc 2023 award winners were revealed, including Alan Hughes' Dear Mama and Bobby Wine, The People's President. Kristen Stewart is set to receive the Visionary Award at the 40th Annual Sundance Film Festival's opening night gala. Trevor Noah is set to host the Grammys for the 4th year in a row. Greta Gerwig is set as jury president for the 2024 Cannes Film Festival, and Lupita Nyong'o is set to head the 2024 Berlinale competition jury. Industry lost some many beloved actors this year, including actress Sonia Eddy, who took home the Best Supporting Actress Daytime Emmy along with her co-star Robert Gossett. And Michael Blakemore, my director from The Life on Broadway, who was also the director for Noises Off. He lost his life at the age of 95. General Hospital also lost Jack Axelrod, who played mob boss Victor Jerome at 93. Homicide star Andre Brau's cause of death was revealed as lung cancer, as we lost him this week as well. Jacob Elordi is set to host SNL in January with Renee Rapp as musical guest. Palm Clementif, Miriam Shore, and Nathan Fillion are the latest to join the Superman Legacy cast, and Matthew Perry's cause of death was revealed as acute effects of ketamine, a drug used recreationally and increasingly used under medical supervision to treat depression. Charlize Theron and Dom Olmsted launched new media company with Denver and Delilah's Beth Kono and AJ Dix. John Hamm is set to star in Your Friends and Neighbors series for Apple from Jonathan Tropper. Amy Aquino, Adrian Seymour, Cedric Yarborough, Chikado Fukuyama, and Onyx Serrano called for Clint Eastwood's Juror Number 2. Matthew Arnold returns to NBC with Nowhere, new drama series in development with Atomic Monster and Vertigo Entertainment. CBS is looking to turn another successful drama into a franchise. The network will introduce a new character in an episode from Fire Country's upcoming 2nd episode that could anchor her own series. Shelley Hennick, Shiloh Fernandez, and Tyrese Gibson lead the cast in the thriller Flux. Green Book co-writer Nick Vallelong has legal book thrown at him by IATSE over unpaid Dasamore crew. George Clooney and Adam Sandler are set to star in Noah Baumbach's next movie at Netflix. Lisa Kudrow joins Netflix's No Good Deed from executive producer Liz Feldman. Stanley Tucci returns to Italy for new docuseries, this time with Nat Geo. Pete Davidson joins Eddie Murphy in the Tim Story-directed The Pickup for MGM Studios. Olivia Wilde and Lucky Chap's Naughty has been acquired by Universal Pictures. Alexander Skarsgård stars in Murderbot, sci-fi series ordered by Apple from Chris and Paul Weitz. Deadpool 3's Sean Levy boards Ryan Reynolds' heist comedy as director and producer at Netflix. Gina Prince Blythewood is set to direct an adaptation of Tommy Adeyemi's Children of the Blood and Bone for Paramount Pictures. Kingdom Story Company appoints partners Kevin Downs as CEO and Andrew Irwin as Chief Creative Officer. Curb Your Enthusiasm is to officially end with season 12 on HBO. I love that show. Rome Flynn joins NBC's Chicago Fire for season 12. Stephen Yeun and Christina Oh form a new partnership, Celadon Pictures. Looking forward to that one. Naomi Scott is set to star in the next installment in Paramount's Smile franchise. American Girl movie is in the works from Mattel Films, Paramount, and Temple Hill Entertainment. I guess Barbie couldn't be enough for us. Captain America Brave New World hires scribe Matthew Orton. Additional shooting is planned for mid-2024. Dick Wolf lines up Murder in America, the lynching of Emmett Till feature documentary with director Sam Pollard and Llewellyn Smith. Ken Jeong is set to reunite with Community co-star Joe McHale in Animal Control Season 2 in a guest role. Sarah Chalk and Crystal Smith are also set to appear in the Fox series. Kevin Hart is hot this week as Peacock ordered his Muhammad Ali Fight Night Heist drama series starring Kevin Hart, landing a series order at Peacock. Meanwhile, his buddy Dwayne Johnson is set to star in an MMA biopic, The Smashing Machine, for director Benny Safdie at A24. Amazon MGM Studios is adapting the Lucy Score bestseller Things We Never Got Over for TV. Echo's Amy Rarden is set as the showrunner. Christopher Abbott is set to star in Wolfman, a remake at Blumhouse Universal Studios. Marissa Tomei, Sherry Cola, and Sierra Bravo are leading the rom-com You're Dating a Narcissist. John Walsh returns to host America's Most Wanted with his son, Callahan Walsh, on Fox. The Amy Winehouse biopic Back to Black, G. The film is directed by Sam Taylor Johnson with a script written by Matt Greenlaw and is set for a 2024 release date. Oliver Hudson inks a broadcast direct deal with Fox Entertainment, and Good Times is set with Renata Shepard as the showrunner. J.B. Smoove, Yvette Nicole Brown, and Jay Farrell are set to star in the Netflix animated reboot. Jenna Ortega's movie Miller's Girl is set with a world premiere at the Palm Springs Film Festival ahead of its January release. La La Land heads back to China for Christmas. Amy Adams is set to star in The Holdout. Macro Film Studios names Christine Oldtow as Senior Vice President of Production and Development. Artist Equity Chris Hemsworth Wildstate set scripted partnership. Today on The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, I have the entire cast of The Color Purple, plus the entire cast of Disney Plus's Percy Jackson and the Olympians, plus the book author from Hulu's Black Cake, Charmaine Wilkerson, and I'm giving y'all a taste of some of my favorite holiday films for the holiday season. All that and a few more surprises coming up on The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata right now.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know I'm shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, a.k.a. The Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience with me today. Oh, we got a little light issue. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much for your patience with me today and for joining me live. This is The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, and I'm your host, Carla Renata. And what I do here is I do reviews of films. Sometimes they're feature releases, sometimes they're classic releases, and I conduct interviews with people above and below the line in the film industry. I have so much for you guys today, but before we get to all of that, if you were on YouTube, give me a big thumbs up to let me know that you were here, because otherwise I don't know that you watched and supported the sister. If you were on Twitter and LinkedIn, thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be my last live broadcast for 2024, but I will have some more things streaming and posting for you as we lead up to New Year's Eve. Let me just say hello to some folks that joined me in the chat room. Of course, my boy Brandon is always here. And he said that he watched Chicken Run 2 the other night, and he loves that it stays true to the original movie from 2000. And Bella Ramsey as Molly nails it. And he's also seeing Migration this Thursday. Yes, you are. And I will be seeing it eventually. I don't know when that's going to be. Actually, it'll be sometime this week. Brandon also said hello to me. I love him for saying hello to me. And he also said that that Kung Fu Panda trailer 4 is dope. He can't wait for that March 4th. And then he said that the voice cast for Kung Fu Panda is great. Jack Black is back again, and Awkwafina and Viola Davis and Kiwi Kwan. Thank you for that news. I want to thank Team JVS. Thank you so much, Team JVS, for joining me. Much love and happy early New Year to you too. My boy from St. Louis, who is a Emmy winner and an Emmy nominee this year, Kevin Spiritus. Thank you, Kevin, for supporting me. I appreciate you. We also have Cedric Cabrera. Thank you for joining me. Who else joined me? It's a lot of people that joined me today. Adrian Suarez joined me. Thank you. F. Jonathan joined me. Thank you. Local Black Girl for Hire joined. Thank you. Scott Cole joined. Thank you. And I think I got everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you all so very much. I appreciate you very, very much for joining in. And I'm just going to type thank you all very much. All right. So having said that, I said I have a jam-packed show for you, and I do. But before we get into that, I usually talk about what I did the week before, and then I get into the films and the interviews. So this past week, I didn't do too much because we're leading up to the holidays and things are starting to wind down. I did some more interviews going into 2024, which I'll talk about at the end of the broadcast. But I did watch the Daytime Emmy Awards, which were hosted by, let me get that Scott Cole, thank you, out of the way. Because we can't be having that all over my girl's, Nichelle Turner's face. That would not be hot. So Nichelle Turner and Kevin from Entertainment Tonight, they hosted the show, and it was, I think, their second or third time hosting, and they also won an Emmy for Entertainment Tonight. As I said, this is my friend Kevin Spiritus. We have been friends since we were teenagers. We grew up together in St. Louis, Missouri. He was nominated for an Emmy for his role in Days of Our Lives. He had been on that soap opera for a really long time, and he had a really nice evolving storyline that happened there. So it was nice to see him. Thank you, Christopher Trifo, who joined, or Trifo. I think that's how your name is. Please forgive me if I mispronounce people's names. I'm not doing it on purpose. I really am trying the best I can. And then I wanted to just give a shout out to Vernee Watson, who was a Gold Circle inductee. I talk about her often because she was the first Black woman that I saw on television, in movies, on TV, and in commercials. And, you know, she paved the way for somebody like me. I appreciate her. Another person that paved the way for somebody like me in the film criticism host space is Tanya Hart, who also became a Gold Circle inductee at the 50th anniversary celebration of the Emmy Awards. All right. So I think that just about does it. Like I said, today we're going to talk about The Color Purple. I'm not going to review the show, you guys, because it's under embargo until December 19th, and my review will be found on thewrap.com. But what we are going to talk about is The Iron Claw. We're going to talk about Percy Jackson. Sorry, I keep clearing my throat. We're going to talk about All of Us Strangers, and we're going to talk about memory. And like I said, we're going to hit some of my favorite Christmas classics. So let's get right on into it. But first, we're going to start with a little Ferrari action. But before we start into Ferrari, let me see. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Team JVS, subscribing to the channel. I still can't get over you. Listen, I couldn't get over me winning red light, green light. Anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. Ooh, you're funny. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. That is hilarious. But let's talk a little bit about this Ferrari, honey. Ferrari is a film starring Adam Driver. And let me just say, there's a lot about, let me come back on camera so y'all can see me, because you've seen a lot of pictures and things this show. So there's been a lot of biopics this year. We've had Maestro, which focuses on Leonard Bernstein, which is on Netflix. We've had, what else did we have? We had Napoleon, about the French emperor. We had Priscilla, which focused around Priscilla Presley, this time from her point of view and her story, and not solely focused on Elvis. And now we got Ferrari. They're going to start showing this in theaters on Christmas Eve, which is a week from today, I believe. They'll start showing it in theaters then. But it stars Penelope Cruz, Shailene Woodley, and Adam Driver, and is directed by Michael Mann. Now, this particular iteration is based on the 1991 biography, and it's called Enzo Ferrari, The Man, the Cars, the Races, the Machine, by motorsport journalist Brock Yates. It focuses on a very specific time in Enzo's life. So during the summer of 1957, bankruptcy is looming over the Ferrari company that he and his wife built 10 years earlier. And Ferrari decides to roll the dice and wager it all on this iconic Mille Miglia, a treacherous 1,000-mile race across Italy. The best thing about Ferrari is Penelope Cruz. I said it. I said it. The best thing about the film is Penelope Cruz. She plays Laura Ferrari, his wife, and she's a complicated, strong Italian woman who is grieving for the life she once had with Enzo and her child that she lost. And the way that Penelope Cruz attacks this character is with a veracity that I've seen her do in some other performances, but this one is very, very specific and very grounded and very much, she kind of steals the show. Just saying. Adam Driver is a presence, y'all. No matter what film he's in, I'm gonna go and show y'all these pictures. No matter what film he's in, he's a presence. But not too long ago he played Gucci in Gucci, and now he's playing Ferrari in Ferrari. And the accents kind of go in and out with him and Shailene Woodley. Penelope Cruz is the only one that's actually able to keep her accent. This is Penelope Cruz in this movie. Don't she look crazy? She looks crazy as hell in that picture, right? But she's really great. The crash scenes directed by Michael Mann are brutal, especially that last one, recreating that crash, that famous crash where 9 spectators excuse me, were killed, including 5 children. Now Michael Mann is known for capturing these action films like in Bad Boys. This one is no bit better. Now, could the film have been paced a little better? It absolutely could have been paced a little better because it's a little slow. And if I'm being honest, I don't really get into it until like the last 40 minutes of the movie and there's many poignant moments throughout. Like there's a moment where Penelope discovers that Enzo's cheating on her, and how that is played out is very, very well done. There's a whole black and white sequence at the beginning of the film that's very well done. But, the pacing of this film is a little slow for me. And I kind of, tapped out for most of it. But, if you are a race car fan, you'll love it. You'll like it. You'll get into it. I'm a race car fan, so I got into it, but I really got into it the last 40 minutes. So having said that, let's move on into the next one, which is the Iron Claw. Now, the Iron Claw is an A24 film. It is produced, directed, and written by Sean Durbin. It is the winner of the National Board of Review Top Film, including Best Ensemble. It stars Zac Efron, Maura Tierney, Jeremy Allen White. It's the true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers who made history in an intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. Through tragedy and triumph under the shadow of their domineering father and coach, these brothers seek a larger-than-life immortality on the biggest stage in sports, which is wrestling. I'm going to come back on camera so you can hear me talk about this one right here. I knew about these brothers because I'm from Missouri, and they are very famous in the wrestling arenas in the state of Missouri. So I knew about them from that. But the film basically deals with what I just said, and it focuses specifically on the brutality and the theatrics of wrestling, which is this family's mantra. The tragedy that surrounds this family was insurmountable. I mean, one died from suicide. Carrie died from suicide. Mike died in a coma after a really simple shoulder surgery. David died from a ruptured intestine. Kevin, the 4th brother, is still living, as we know, in 2023. He walked away from the wrestling world and changed the karma of his family. The acting performances in this film are so, so good. Everybody is really great. But Zac Efron, we know Zac Efron from High School Musical. This is not High School Musical Zac Efron. He basically is giving the best performance of his career in this film, along with Maura Tierney as his mom. She has a scene where she just cannot get dressed to see another one of her sons get buried, and it will break your heart. This film is going to be in theaters. You really want to check it out. It is called The Iron Claw. Now we're going to get into, before I get into this first interview, let me just say that Poor Things, a movie I talked about earlier, that was released on December 8th, that stars Emma Stone. People are joking and calling it Porn Things. I don't know why they're doing that. They're not right for that. But anyway, that's going to be released. I'm sorry. It's already in theaters and you can check it out. Okay. So having said that, let's talk a little bit about The Boys in the Boat. The Boys in the Boat is an Amazon MGM Pictures film. It's going to be released this going into Christmas, I believe, on Christmas Day or December 22nd. It's an Amazon MGM Studios film. It's directed, produced by George Clooney. It stars Joel Edgerton and Callum Turner, who is the guy in the boat with the blonde hair that you see there. It's set in the 1930s, and it centers on the University of Washington's rowing team from their Depression era beginnings to winning gold at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. Callum Turner is a freaking star. The range of acting that he distributes within this film is absolutely heartbreaking. Oh my God, he's so good. The period music from the 30s gives this film life to something that could otherwise be very dull and very repetitive. And it deals with things like, when people are on these sports teams, things like falling asleep in class and, being teased because you can't. I remember being in college at Howard and not having enough money to eat with everybody else. And so I would kind of save up my transportation money so that I could eat. That's a terrible feeling, to know that you can't eat with other people, that you're so poor that you can't eat with other people. And to watch Callum Turner's character Joe go through that in the film really broke my heart. I love how I would love to talk to George Clooney about shooting rowing on water, because I can't imagine it would be easy. But this is a very triumphant film. It's very inspirational. You guys will really enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and I hope that you will too. All right, so let's get into some of these interviews that I promised you, because y'all are like, look, I tuned in for these interviews and you doing all this talking. I'm about tired of listening to you talk. So let's get into some of these interviews. We're going to go into first. I talked about Charmaine Wilkerson. She is the author of a book called Black Cake. It is a dramatic TV series, which is now being streamed on Hulu. And she and I talked about the series and some other things. So take a look and a listen to this interview with Charmaine Wilkerson as she talks about Black Cake. Mabel, when she looks at her mom in the casket and she says, "We have the same hands." I had that moment with my mom, and I have a picture of our hands like this that I kind of doctored up. That warmed my heart, and I just wanted to share that moment was really special for me, as I'm sure it is for other people that have seen it too. So thank you so much.
I'm glad that you really appreciated that scene. This is one of the beautiful things that happens between publishing a novel and seeing it transferred to the screen. So a little confession, that little line is completely original to the screen production, but it picks up on things that I do repeatedly in the novel, which is to show these little ways in which people are resembling one another and they don't even know it. And they did a wonderful job in, I say they, meaning the screenwriters and Marissa Jo Sarar, the showrunner, in capturing this thing that happens repeatedly in the novel in that one line. It's that sense of recognizing herself. Mabel recognizes herself, but also the emotional connection.
Yes, absolutely. It really did have personal meaning for me. So thank you so very much for that. There's also the one episode that really stuck with me is episode 6, where Byron has that situation where he gets arrested and then he has to go and be a speaker later that afternoon. And I'm not sure, I haven't read your book just yet, but I'm about to get into it. And I'm not sure if this is in the book, but when he says we don't occupy their imagination the way they occupy ours, I want to know what that means for you as a Black woman author navigating these waters constantly, where I'm sure sometimes you're the only one.
I've written my book on my own. And so then I put it out in the world, sent it out into the world. And I was fortunate to have support in doing so. So with the novel, I didn't necessarily have that experience. What I can say to you is there was a moment when I wondered if anyone would publish that novel. I liked the story. I thought it was a good story. I thought people would enjoy what happened, but I thought, gee, if given a choice between two really great stories, and there are lots of great books out there, let's face it, would they maybe not go for the one that has mostly Black people and brown people and Asian and as well as white, different kinds of characters, different kinds of diversity? Would they not necessarily go for that story as much? So that was kind of my experience. And it's very satisfying and exciting to see that many people have embraced the story on the page, but also the screen, and that the people who really put together this screen production and the actors and the screenwriters managed to convey that idea that the world has its diversity. We often talk about diversity in storytelling. Why? Because fiction helps us to come closer to the truth sometimes. The truth is the world that I know, the world that many people know, is a little closer to the world of Black cake than we often see on the screen or in the pages of a book. So maybe I'm turning around the answer to that question. But what I can say is the feeling that it was wonderful to see that happen is sort of the answer there. And I thought, well, because people love a good story, they just have to be open to understanding that, yes, if I've been reading stories about people who don't look like me, who aren't like me all my life, and loving those stories, then can the contrary not be true?
Absolutely. Thank you for that answer. That was beautiful. And just to close it out, I have to know, in the film, the Black cake is a favorite recipe, a family recipe that's been handed down for generations. Is that a favorite recipe in your family, or is it something else?
It's a special recipe because my mother made a legendary Black cake. Only in my family, we did not call it Black cake. We call it rum cake or plum pudding. But my mother grew up in Jamaica and she made a wonderful, wonderful Black cake, let's call it Caribbean fruit cake. And she was obsessed with her fruits, and she would hide them in the cupboard and they'd soak for months. And that idea is an idea that was transferred to Eleanor in the story Black cake, this woman who just the fruits soaking for months in preparation for that cake was a very important thing to her.
It's a very important thing to me too, because my mama tore up the Black cake that they sent us. Honey,
No.
they sent us 2 little tins, and I'm like, oh, there'll be one for mommy and there'll be one for me. Charmaine, I can't find neither one of the tins or the cake. My mother didn't. she did scarfed it down somewhere. But
I love that.
I love it too, because that says a lot. Because my mother's very, very picky. But in just wrapping this conversation up, I really appreciate the story that you told and the way that you crafted it and the way that you highlighted the LGBTQ plus theme within it amongst Black women, because we don't often see that either. The microaggressions, the family recipes, jealousy between siblings, misunderstanding between siblings, the care and the fragility of young Black men in the justice system. All of those things exist in this one piece. And it's so very powerful and so very necessary. And I thank you.
Well, thank you for your interest. And I'm so glad that you were able to connect with that.
I am too. Thank you so much, Charmaine.
Thank you. It's great to meet you, Carla.
It's wonderful to meet you too. Hopefully this won't be the last time.
I hope not. Maybe next time I'll bring a Black cake.
Girl, don't threaten me with a good time. I love talking to her, and I'm serious. Don't threaten me with a good time, Charmaine. I'm looking for that Black cake, girl. Anywho, I won't make y'all wait anymore. It's been like, I don't know what, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. So without further ado, we're going to get into this Percy Jackson interview. I spoke with, let me see, who did I speak with? I spoke with the creator of the franchise, Rick Riordan, and his wife, Becky. I spoke with Becky and Rick Reardon. That's who I spoke to. I spoke with Leah Jeffries. I spoke with Aryan Simhadri and the co-creators John Steinberg, and Dan Schatz. I didn't mess up everybody's name. Please forgive me. If y'all are seeing this, I'm not doing it on purpose, I promise you. But anyway, here is a compilation of our interview together where we talk about everything from bullying to Rick saying that he wants to have Beyonce in the franchise. So take a look and a listen to this interview with the creators and the cast of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is streaming on Disney Plus beginning December 20th. Here we go. Hi, John and Dan. How are you?
Hi,
Good.
Carla. How are you?
I'm great. I am great. I had so much fun watching this show. I really, really did. And I can't wait to see what the rest of it holds, because I know that it's more than just the 4 episodes that I saw, but I was digging the 4 episodes that I saw.
That's great. Thank you.
And we love your background. It's amazing.
Thank you. Everybody does. I like it. So speaking of the project, when I was in college, Greek mythology, I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. I totally failed that course in college. It was so sad. But I just want to know, how much of Greek mythology did you guys know before attacking this project, and who your favorite god is?
That's a great question. They all are special in their own way,
Right.
or complicated in their own way. I'm a Hephaestus guy, mainly because I am not very good at fixing things or working with my hands, and that god who can create and build and design is always been crazy impressive to me.
I kind of liked Medusa and the mother. I like the fact that Medusa had like this really soft voice, which was kind of creepy. And you kind of knew from that soft voice that you probably shouldn't trust her. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop this year, right? We're on the tail end of that year. If you had to pick somebody from the hip hop world to join the Percy franchise, who do you think you'd want to come in there and shake things up a little bit?
I would love that. I mean, we're back in the 80s now, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we go back almost that whole 50 years. Boy, I don't.
Yeah, right at the height of hip hop.
Is yeah. I don't know. I've always had a soft spot for MC Hammer. I think that would be pretty amazing. Run DMC. Anybody else come to mind?
Becky's like, I'm not even going there. Why? No. She's like, why are you looking at me for help? We are not there.
Can we say Beyonce? Beyonce definitely needs to be in there. I don't know if that qualifies, but.
I love that. I love that you would want Beyonce to be part of the Percy universe. That is fantabulous.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I'd love her to be a goddess.
Oh, no, I think that's a great idea. I can see the costumes and everything.
Oh yeah,
she can give us a call anytime.
Go ahead, Rick and Becky. I love you for that. One last thing. The other theme that happens throughout the franchise is being bullied. And sometimes when you're in that situation, you have a tendency to go against the odds and do what's right as opposed to what's in your heart. Were you guys ever bullied as kids? And did you ever want to do what was in your heart versus what was doing the right thing?
Early on, that's one of the things they really wanted to make sure was in the Percy series, so that kids that get bullied are sane. And they feel like they can be themselves and that the bully is not correct, and I think that's really, really important.
Absolutely.
People can be their authentic selves.
Yeah.
And to answer the question, Rick and I actually think about those things every single day. What could we have done better? When could we have stood up when we should have and we were quiet? It's so important. It's so important to think about that and reevaluate it every day.
Yep.
I think everyone has. I think that's part of what makes the story so easy to invest in, and is everyone knows what it's like to not fit in. Everyone knows what it's like to be stuck between what feels right and what you're being told is right. And I think, the journey, Percy's journey and the journey of all three of these kids, both in this book and I think throughout the series, is in trying to make sense of that. It's a question without any real easy answers.
I actually have never shared this before, but I actually had a summer camp experience that was rough, where I was not treated well by a couple campers, and I'm now you inspired me to bring this up again, or to think about it, that I ended up finding people who were there to support me and that were there to look after me when that experience was not going well. And I think about those people who did back me up, and who did care. And I think those themes are, anybody can relate to having a moment like that in any form, where you're just not connecting or being treated poorly, but there are other people around there. There's people to go to who will back you up and will support you. And I think those themes are all over this book, and why kids for now generations connect to it, or even adults who read the books who felt like that kid at one point. So I think it's really powerful what Rick has built in the books and that we were able to now express in this series.
Thank you both for sharing that, and thank you for sharing that story with me. It's going to help so many people just to hear you say that.
Yes, I have been in a situation multiple times with bullying. I feel like it was just really the environment that I was in also, because, I don't want to sound weird when I say this, but of course every kid at the school wasn't an actress or an actor. So I feel like when people found out that I was that one girl, over there, with the poofy hair and stuff, oh, she's an actress, she thinks she's that and all that stuff. But I feel like people try to make it seem like you're the one that's saying, oh yeah, I'm so big this, I'm so big that, really you didn't, and I definitely felt like, every kid has felt this. They always think like, oh, well, trust me, one day I'm gonna get them, I'm gonna do this to them, but really that's not the right thing, obviously. Me now, I'm like I feel like a little kid when I do this, but like, at my school or something, and something happens, I just go to the discipline office and just be like, this is what happened to me. I even do that when I didn't get my food for lunch or something because I was late to the lunchroom. Like, I even did that. I just complained for no reason. But wait, that's kind of mean. But like I don't complain, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
And whenever I was bullied, I think I was too naive to notice it. So I was just like, oh yeah, they're just, they're joshing around. They're just having a good old time. And I guess what was right was probably just to take a step back and acknowledge like what was happening, or, the severity of the situation. What I ended up doing and what I wanted to do was just kind of, I guess, embrace that innocence or naivete and just kind of, hang around with people, good or bad. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, I'm very fortunate to have great friends as cast members and who I've just met through acting.
Yeah. Listen to Aryan's thing. His is better. His is better. Don't pay attention to my
clip. Don't use mine.
Take my whole thing out. Okay.
I'm not doing that, because you know what? Everybody can learn something from what each one of you said. So I'm not going to do that, Leah.
Good answer.
Should I go to this one off because of lunch? Like,
but having said that, having said that, I enjoyed you guys in the show. I enjoyed speaking with you today, and congratulations with the rest of the series. And I look forward to seeing what's coming down the road for both of you, because you're very talented.
Thank you so
very much. Thank you.
Also, the picture in the background, it was like a nappy,
Nappily Ever After.
Yes, Nappily Ever After. My friend Daria Jones is actually in that show. I used to watch that all the time.
Yay! Well, tell Daria I said what's up.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you guys. I'll see you later.
See you later. Bye.
All right, for the shout out to Daria Jones. Hey, Daria, if you watching, girl. Hey, girl. Hey. So let me thank once again, and I will get their names right this time. Rick and Becky Reardon, Leah Jeffries, Aryan Simhadri, and the co-creators John Steinberg and Dan Schatz. So if you don't know what Percy Jackson is about, it will begin streaming Percy Jackson and the Olympians on Disney Plus December 20th. Percy Jackson is on a dangerous quest, outrunning monsters and outwitting gods. He must journey across America to return to Zeus's master bolt and stop an all-out war. After losing his mother, Percy is sheltered at Camp Half-Blood, a sanctuary for demigod children, and he must prove himself and confront his origins once he discovers that he too is a demigod and will take off into the perils of pursuing enemies in search of the underworld, with the help of his mates Annabeth and Grover, played by Leah and Aryan. His journey leads him closer to the answer that he seeks, how to fit into a world where he feels out of place, if he'll ever see his mother again, and if he can ever find out who he is destined to be. That is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, y'all. It is on Disney Plus beginning on December 20th, right in time for the holiday season. I know y'all are happy about that. All right, so without further ado, before I do another review, I'm going to give you one of these Color Purple interviews. So Blitz Bazawule is from Ghana, and he is the director of The Color Purple. He has reimagined it into a completely different thing, melting the book, the musical, and the original adaptation into one thing. But he and I had a discussion about two very specific things in the film, and I'm going to let him tell you all about it. Hey, Blitz.
Hello.
I saw you the other night at the premiere with your purple boots. I was living
It was
for
all
that.
about those purple boots. Yes.
So listen, I want to talk to you about a lot of the technical aspects of the film because I'm always interested in that. Yes. And I noticed that there was a slight nod to some Black history with the flying ace.
Of course.
Why did you choose to acknowledge that particular film?
Well, because it was one of the groundbreaking films of its time. Aviation was fairly new at the time, and certainly there weren't black bodies in planes that had been seen. Wings had been done earlier and had won the Academy. But Flying Ace was something that was equally as important. But I also really believe in a continuum. Mm-hmm. I like people to understand that we stand on the shoulders of giants, people who went through unsurmountable odds to do the work that they did. And Celie being in that movie theater was me as a kid seeing one of my first films, and just how my mind expanded and how I felt anything was possible because of that. And the camera movement of that shot was all so that the audience could take the first person perspective. When the camera swings all the way past the balcony and finds out two ladies and then pushes all the way into the film, that for me was kind of part of the language we had created, a liberated camera, a camera that will fly through right from the opening shot when we're like this and we find our girls in a tree. So it was a constant thing Dan Lawson and I were talking about. But Flying Ace was very important, that was the movie that they were going to watch.
I peeped that and I was so excited because a friend of mine did a live orchestration to that earlier in the year.
Yes.
Catherine, she did that. I was so excited when I saw that.
Yes.
The other thing I want to talk about is the waterfall scene. Yes. How did you coordinate that with Fatima?
Wow. I found that location very early in our scouting days, and I knew immediately that it was going to be a symbolic location, a place of free flow, a place that Celie could find solace in her head, because that's one of our first moments of that. And Fatima and I talked a lot about kind of creating this as more interpretive in how they were going to move, and a fluidity that was going to match the water. And of course, our costumer Francine had to get us dresses that would not soak into the water, but it was incredible to see those sweeping wide shots of that waterfall, because again, it was the first time we saw Celie express what she had hoped for. Would she be mine? And I'm really, really happy with that.
Well, I'm really, really happy with what I saw, and I'm really happy with your reimagining of this production. I'm a huge fan of the book, the musical, the film, and this film as well. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Very appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So now I'm gonna segue into the cast. Now that we've heard from the director. Felicia Pearl Mbasi is playing young Celie, and she does a fantabulous job. But what you all don't know about her is that she's actually a writer. So she's a multi-hyphenate like me. She does a multitude of different things because as an actor, jobs don't always come for women of color. Let's just keep it a buck, okay? The opportunities don't always come for us. And when they do come, there's always stipulations or some type of thing attached to it. She talks about being a staff writer on Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, which is now canceled. I don't even think you can find it online anymore, but it was on Amazon. And she talks about being a staff writer there and being very supported by her supervisor, but also having to vie for the role of young Celie in The Color Purple at the same time. But I'm gonna let her tell you the story. Hey girl, hey,
come on.
Hey. So listen, I just want to know, I know that you were a staff writer on Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies.
Yes.
Love that so much.
you.
I want to know how you go from a staff writer girl to playing young Celie. How does that happen?
Girl, writing it down and manifesting and dreaming, but bringing all of the elements of my talent and like things that I've learned over the years together. So I actually auditioned for Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies because I was a writer and my boss knew I was an actor and she was like, okay, we're going to like try to find a way to get you in there. And when it came to time for me to audition, I was told I was looking a little too old. And this is she meant it with so much love. She was like, we're going to hire like teenagers. Like I think they're like 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just was like, okay, then I guess like that's it. I have to release it. And like the day that she said that, I just was like, I know I'm going to do something big this year. I know I'm going to be in a musical this year. I just know it. I got a call in saying they want to see you for young Celie. So I was like, young? Huh? I just got told, wait a second.
You just told you was too old.
Right.
I want you to be young?
Yes. And I have like, and she was the most supportive showrunner in the world. So when I told her, like, I didn't say what it was. Like, I'm going through this audition process. I have to miss a couple days of work. And she's like, absolutely. Like, let me know what you need. I'm happy to even watch the tape from like a boss's perspective, if anything that you need. And, yeah, and it's so funny. I was actually in the writer's room for Grease when I found out I got the part, like on Zoom, because we were during the pandemic. So it was just like our little faces on boxes, and I get the text from my team, like, can you hop on a call really quickly? And that's either like fantastic news or they're going to drop you off. Right. And so I typed in, like, going to the bathroom, be right back. Went outside, got the phone call that I was the choice. They wanted me to play young Celie, and I ran around the block and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And I went right back to work and was like, okay, let's keep breaking act 2. So I think this character can do, and didn't tell a soul.
Listen, I love you because you're a multi-hyphenate like me. Keep it moving.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very much.
Let's talk a little bit about the waterfall scene, because that is the moment where Celie feels reborn and a renewed sense of a rebirth, because she now has found out that her children are not dead.
Yes.
What was that like for you, and did you have a sense of rebirth and renewal filming that scene?
Ooh, rebirth. Yes, because we had to push it, and so many, because it's natural. So we were at a waterfall. We had to stop for rain. We had to leave for different, environmental elements. And I think by the time that we got there, I understood the responsibility that this had, because, the composer Stephen Bray and Blitz together both said this was something that was supposed to be in the original musical and didn't make it. And it's like really the first time we're hearing Celie's imagination personified through song. And that happens a couple of the times later with Dear Gods, but I had to set the tone for it. And it was just so wonderful, and especially to have the other women around me, and they were dancers that helped me rehearse, and it felt like I'd climbed this big mountain to finish it, because it did take a lot of work. It was a lot of rehearsal and choreographing and finding the emotional beats in it, and it just felt like, I kind of like washed away all my nervousness and fear and felt like I'd finally belonged and I'd like gotten it.
You were amazing.
Thank you.
Last but not least, the scene with you, Coleman, and Hallie in that rain.
Yes.
How difficult was that for you?
It was one of the hardest days shooting, and I think one of the hardest days I've ever lived and experienced. Because at a certain point, you kind of meld with the character, and especially with that, I wanted to be so in it and so focused that I was having trouble separating real life from what was happening on screen. And especially at one point towards the end, Hallie rapped earlier than I did, and they didn't tell me. And I don't know if that was purposeful but we had been together like every single day till that point, and she left. And I remember looking up and being like, "Where's Hallie?" And they're like, "She's gone." And I remember feeling like I'd lost my anchor and like the weight of having to carry, this scene by myself. I just didn't feel like I could do it. And Coleman then pulled me aside and was like, "You have to, because this is real life. This is someone's lived experience. This is beyond us as actors. You have to do this character justice." And I just, tapped back into what I was feeling, and the feeling of like abandonment that I felt in my own life. And then that moment when I realized Hallie was gone, I just poured that all into the character and all into the moment. And, I think you can see it. Those are real. I was sobbing and just was like, I fully understand what Celie was going through in that moment when like the one thing that she had was taken away from her and she's left with nothing.
You are a meteoric star. I
Oh
cannot
my
wait to
gosh.
see what you do next.
Thank
You're
you
amazing.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time today.
Thank you. I so appreciate it.
Girl, don't start crying. Let me get out of here. You're crying on me.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miss Felicia. We had a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And as I was walking off, I quoted Oprah. I told her that her future is so bright, it burns my eyes. And that is the God's honest truth. I want to thank one more person who has joined me, Philly. Thank you. I'm not even gonna attempt your last name because I don't even want to mess it up. Because, I didn't butcher enough names this afternoon. So we're going to get on with the show. I want to do a couple of more things before I get into the last few interviews with the ladies and Coleman and them. There is a film that's coming out called Memory with Jessica Chastain. It has a December 22nd limited release, and it goes into wide release on January 5th. Jessica Chastain is on the left. Peter Sarsgaard is on the right, and in the middle is their director, Mike, is either Michelle or Michael Franco. He wrote, directed, and produced the film. The film received a Volpe Cup Award, Best Actor for Peter Sarsgaard at the 80th Venice Film Festival this past summer. And it deals with Peter Sarsgaard's character has Alzheimer's, and it deals with how the past can be so unstable and so is the present, right? These two characters, they find out, well, Jessica Chastain's character confuses or believes that Peter Sarsgaard's character had molested her when she was younger. And unfortunately, because he has Alzheimer's, he doesn't remember. They somehow end up falling in love, and it is a great culmination of how two broken people can come together. Their performances are super nuanced, super layered, and great performances from both of these actors. One of the most poignant moments in the whole film is a moment where Peter Sarsgaard has spent the night with Jessica Chastain and her daughter, and he comes out of the bedroom and he can't remember which closed door leads back to her bedroom. Breaks my heart because, for personal reasons, it just breaks my heart. You guys want to see it. It's a really wonderful film. Again, it is called Memory. It has a December 22nd release, which is coming up this week. It stars Jessica Chastain and Peter Sarsgaard. Another film I want to bring on your radar that also has a December 22nd release is a film called All Us Strangers. This film is bananas. It is written and directed by Andrew Haigh. It stars Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal. It deals with a screenwriter who's drawn back to his childhood home, and he enters into this fledgling relationship with a mysterious neighbor, and then he discovers that his parents appear to be living just as they were the day they died 30 years before. Let me tell y'all something about this movie. This movie it's wonderful because you never know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. It's beautifully haunting. It's a gut-wrenching story with gut-wrenching and beautiful performances by the two actors that I mentioned. It has an end that you don't see coming. It's an intense, nail-biting screenplay from Andrew Haigh, and it's a wonderfully crafted LGBTQ love story. That's all I'm going to say about it. Because if I say anything else, you're going to know what the movie is about. And I really want you to see it. I also want to go into what my holiday faves are real quick before we get into these last bit of interviews. Because I love these movies so much. One of my favorite movies ever is this film called Christmas in Connecticut. It is going to be available via Prime Video, Max, Sling TV, and Hulu with a subscription. So what happens in this is while recovering in a hospital, this war hero, Jefferson Jones, played by Dennis Morgan on your left, grows familiar with the Diary of a Housewife column written by Elizabeth Lane, played by Barbara Stanwyck. Jeff's nurse arranges for Elizabeth's publisher, Alexander Yardley, for Jeff to spend the holiday at Elizabeth's Connecticut home, and baby shenanigans ensue. It is a wonderful film, and I've told you where you can find it. How the Grinch Stole Christmas is always a holiday favorite. It can be found on Peacock with a subscription. There's no explanation needed, only that the film is based on a Dr. Seuss beloved book featuring the voice of Boris Karloff and has delighted ages since its 1966 debut. Holiday Inn is one of my favorite movies because it's a musical, and we all know I come from Broadway musicals. It stars Bing Crosby, Fred Astaire, and Marjorie Reynolds, who's over on the left. And basically what happens is Jim, who played by Bing Crosby, and Lila are members of a performing trio who plan to quit and run a country hotel. Lila says she's fallen in love with the dancer in the act played by Fred Astaire. Jim leaves town with a broken heart. It's a beautiful story, but what's not so beautiful, and this is why I'm bringing it up, is this scene right here. They do this scene in the movie that involves blackface. It's called Holiday Inn, so they do musical numbers for each and every holiday that comes up. But even as a kid, when I saw this film, which this scene is depicted in, that is about Lincoln's birthday, they could have did anything else centered around Lincoln's birthday, but for whatever reason, they decided to do that. I'm letting you know now, it's going to rub you the wrong way, but the film as a whole is a delightful film. It's a Wonderful Life is able to be streamed on Sling TV, Roku channel, and Plex for free. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life. You can stream it on those platforms for free, and you can get it with a subscription on Prime Video and Hulu. We all know what a wonderful life is like. It's George Bailey wondering what life would be like without him. And of course, his guardian angel, Clarence, brings him to see the light. One of my favorite stories ever. This is something that I discovered this weekend on the Lifetime channel. I'm a huge fan of Kelly Rowland and her acting, and she has these 3 films in Lifetime that are fabulous. One is called Merry Little Christmas. The other one is called Merry Little Christmas Wedding. And the other one is called Merry Little Xmas Baby, Little Christmas Baby. Baby, it is a delightful family-friendly group of films that will totally put you in the mood for the holiday. It stars Kelly Rowland, Debbie Morgan, and Brescia Webb. This one right here, A Charlie Brown Christmas, it needs no explanation. It's a Charlie Brown Christmas. Like, come on. And this is where you can find it. Now, in the past, A Charlie Brown Christmas has aired every year, usually on CBS or ABC, but Apple TV acquired the rights to the classic in 2020. And although the movie aired on PBS in 2020 and 2021, it will not be available on standard television this year. It's making its debut on Apple TV for non-subscribers through December 16th and 17th, which is today. So if you have an Apple TV Plus subscription, you can see it whenever you want. But if you do not, you can only see it December 16th and December 17th. We all know Home Alone. Come on now. Kevin screaming. With a subscription, you can check it out on Disney Plus, the Roku channel, and Prime Video, Stars, and Hulu. No explanation needed. We know what Home Alone is like. When Kevin McAllister gets left at home by his parents, and Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern trying to rob him, and he lets them have it. Enough said. White Christmas is streaming free on Sling TV, and you can see it with a subscription on Netflix. This is one of my favorites, again, because it's a musical. Singers Bob Wallace, played by Bing Crosby, and Phil Davis, played by Danny Kaye. And sister act, Rosemary Clooney and Judy Haynes. Now, you know that song, Sisters, Sisters, that comes from this movie. That's where that comes from this movie. It is a wonderful, wonderful movie about this quartet of people that perform at this inn in Vermont, and they do a whole thing to surprise General Waverly, who was Bob and Phil's commander in the Army. So again, White Christmas, I've told you where you can find that. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is another one that needs no explanation, y'all. It's Rudolph, and he can be found on Prime Video for $7.99. Two more. Frosty the Snowman. You don't need an explanation for Frosty the Snowman. We know what that is. You can find Frosty the Snowman on Apple TV and YouTube for $7.99. And last but not least, one of my current faves and recent faves is Preacher's Wife, starring Whitney Houston and Denzel Washington. It's free on YouTube, y'all. Free on YouTube. But with the subscription, you can watch it at Sling TV, Hulu, Prime Video for $3.79, and Apple TV for $3.99. And it deals with a cleric who begins to doubt himself, played by Courtney B. Vance, and is visited by an angel, played by Denzel Washington. Denzel falls in love with the bishop's wife, which is in this instance is called the preacher's wife, played by Whitney Houston. And it is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, let's get back into these interviews, shall we? So next up, we have an interview with the boys from The Color Purple. Coleman Domingo, who I am positive is going to get a double nomination for his role in the title, for his portrayal of Rustin in the title role of Rustin and as Mr. in The Color Purple. But this is our little fun interview that we did for The Color Purple. Here's Corey Hawkins, who plays Harpo, and Coleman Domingo, who plays Mr.
How you doing, sweetheart?
Brother, hi, brother. Good to see you.
You good? Look, but see now just.
What's up, fam?
How you doing?
I am good. I am better now that I'm here with y'all. Y'all gave me life.
Wow.
You know, me and him, and all of us are Broadway babies.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So I would love to know how embodying these men has changed your life and changed your career.
Well, I'll start with Harpo.
Yes, Corey, we're starting with you.
Honestly, it's a journey of healing. If we're talking about personally in my life, for me, Harpo is he's a sort of beacon of the future. You know, he's a touch point. He's a bit of a touchstone, and he's a small character, but he's a quiet soul. He's an empath, and I love that about him. I love his light. I love his joy. I love his black boy joy. And I wanted to celebrate that in this version of the film. I didn't want him to be, I wanted him to be conscious of the choices that he was making, even though he might be unconscious of the hurt and the trauma that was passed down on him. And so that was important, to love on Sophia in a way that love might not have been expressed back then. And it's changed my life. It's changed my career, because I gotten to work with some of the greatest artists who I've looked up to for years, some of the greatest people and humans. And as you know, Mama O says, all things purple are all things divine. So I'm blessed to be on this legacy, you know.
Okay, for the Mama O reference. All right, Coleman.
I would say, I would echo that, but also I would say that, you know, roles and work come to you when you need it. And it's something divine about that, where I needed to examine the horrors of a man like Mr., but then also find out what makes him human. I'm very curious about people and like why do people do what they do. I think of myself as being a pretty well-adjusted human being who finds light and love in the world. And I'm very curious about people who operate like Mr. And then it makes me find the human things about him. What was his needs, his wants, desires? What happened when he didn't get it? And then why must he put his foot on someone else's neck? Why must he suppress others? And why? Because, you know, to understand that, like, he's stuck in his evolution in many ways. And so I know I need to go on that journey for whatever reason. I need to go on a journey in a leadership role as well when it comes to being sort of like the man of the house. It takes place in Albert Johnson's house, Mr.'s house. And how do you run that house? How do you take care of that house? Just not only as a Mr., but also as an actor, as a teammate with my company. I feel very, very blessed if this role came along right now. I feel like, would I have been able to do this maybe 10 years ago? I don't think so. I needed this lived life experience of being a 50-something-year-old man to actually pull from history, the way I've worked in regional theaters, off-Broadway, you name it, bartended. It all leads to something, and it's just about part of the evolution of your work. So I feel very blessed, and to work with, you know, I mean, come on now, we're working with Spielberg and Quincy Jones and Oprah Winfrey. Things can't get any better, but maybe they could.
And they will, because you guys, your range and what you've been able to do. I mean, Dr. Dre, Demeter, and I ain't even gonna start with you. But I am so looking forward to this new journey that y'all are going on. It's gonna be fantabulous. And I'll be your cheerleader every step of the way.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
I received that.
I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Bye. Let me get you up out of here. Put me out your head there.
All right. I love them for helping a sister not bump her head. That was so funny. I love them though. I love how that made me laugh because, honey, I was having a time in that chair. You couldn't see it, but you didn't really need to see that. All right. Last but not least, my sisters in the struggle, Miss Fantasia Barrino Taylor, Miss Taraji P. Henson, and Miss Danielle Brooks, who respectively play Celie, Suge, and Sophia. We had the most wonderful conversation, and I just want y'all to see what that was like. Here we go.
Slide in. How you doing, sweetheart?
I messed up. Wrong one. Here we go for real. Hi, ladies. Hey. Oh, my goodness. My heart is so full in front of y'all right now. 3 just beautiful black chocolatey queens. So Fantasia, you have this song, one of my favorites from American Idol when you won, called I Believe. And I just want to read the last bit of the lyrics.
Oh, don't you do it to me.
She finna
Don't do it to me.
I'm about to go there. Ever felt like dreaming just to find that you're awake and the magic that surrounds you can lift you up and guide you on your way? How have all 3 of you ladies been lifted and guided through your journey in The Color Purple? And since Danielle looking like she about to fall out, I'm gonna start with Taraji first.
Listen, the support, the belief in me. It started with Blitz seeing me as his Suge, because I never fathomed myself playing Suge. This is not, you know, when you get that question, what do you want to play next? It was never Suge, because I ran from her on Broadway. I was tapped to play her on Broadway, and I ran. So that was over for me. I never thought, I was like, oh, it's somebody else's blessing, moving on. And so when it came back around, I was like, this man believed in me. And so when someone sees something in you and they pour into you, you have to rise. But it wasn't until I got to the set and just the support and the uplifting I got from my cast members and these beautiful women who had unique, beautiful instruments that I've seen them sing. She's played Mahalia. I voted until my thumb was numb when she was on American Idol.
Me too.
So, you know, I was really intimidated coming into this as not, you know, singing is not my first love. So, just the support, man. So whatever you see on the screen, it's because I had their shoulders to stand on. I'm not even gonna lie.
You did that. Next.
Thank you.
You know, I almost ran from Celie because I didn't I didn't see the beauty in Celie when I played her. All I heard was ugly. And at that time, I thought I was ugly. And playing her was heavy. So when they called, I was like, wait, no, I'm flying now, I'm looking good, I don't want to go back, but I'm glad I did because she was beautiful.
And so are you, sis.
Thank you.
So are you. DB, come on, bring up the rear, baby.
DB.
Yeah, so for me, you know, I'm a Southern girl and I had big dreams and did not know how I was going to get where I am. So for this to be my first feature film and it be so intertwined with God, I know he's guiding me on my way. I think about this woman and you sing those words. I was 14 watching her and voting for her and knowing she was from Carolinas and she had skin like mine. That was unconsciously the seed was planted in those moments. So God has always been guiding me on this journey and showing me a path. And I'm grateful that I have that to lean on every day.
I need for each and every one of you to know that we love you. I love you. I'm so happy that I was able to experience this journey with y'all on cinema. And look what God has done.
Yes.
yes.
Thank you,
Thank
my
you
sisters.
so
I appreciate
much.
Beautiful
it.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful question.
They were so beautiful, each and every one of them, just really beautiful human beings. Thank you, Blitz. Thank you, Fantasia, Taraji, Danielle, Corey, and Coleman. Love you much. All right, y'all. So I've told you about my holiday favorites. You've seen my interviews from The Color Purple. My review for The Color Purple will be posted as part of the Raps review of the title, and it will be up on their website and goes live when the embargo lifts on December 19th. So you can find my review there, and you can find it on Rotten Tomatoes after it posts live on the Wrap. When I come back after the first of the year, we're going to talk a little, well, not after the first year, but next week, I'm going to post my reviews individually of Rebel Moon, Migration, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. When I come back, and Freud's Last Session. And when I come back next year, I have live interviews with David Oyelowo and Kaylee Cuoco from Role Play, which is going to be on Amazon Prime Video in January. Again, just as a precursor and a reminder, please check out Memory, All of Us Strangers, The Boys in the Boat, The Iron Claw. Make sure that you check out PercyJackson and the Olympians as it begins to stream, Ferrari as it begins to stream, and you can always go online and see the rebroadcast of not the 49th annual, but the 50th annual Daytime Emmys. That is it, y'all, for me. In this edition of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, I want to give a big shout out and a thanks to all of those people who joined me today. Kristen Maldonado, hey girl, hey. Let me give a shout out to Philly. Give a shout out to Team JVS. Hey Sam, hey. A shout out to Christopher. Shout out to Brandon. A shout out to my boy Kevin Spiritus, Jessica Barrett, Adrian Suarez. I think that's S. Jonathan is what that says. Local Black Girl for Hire, Scott Cole. Thank you all so much for joining me. From this point on until January 7th, you will be seeing pre-recorded content. I won't be back live until January 7th. So please enjoy your holiday. Be kind to one another. Be really careful out there because baby, COVID is rampant. My whole entire household has COVID right now, except for me. So I don't look like I'm sick because I'm not sick, but everybody else in my house is. So I have been quarantined and kept quiet and, in my little insular bubble in my bedroom until everybody gets better. But I'm just letting y'all know the situation is real and you don't want to be playing with the vid, honey, with the COVID, because she's out there and she's messing with folks. So having said that, love, peace, and hair grease, baby, and deuces until the next time. Love you, mean it. And I will see y'all on the flip side in 2024. Bye.